got a guest today. So he's been in the corporate field for the last 6 years. And what's exciting is for all our students, this is the first time that we've had someone from the corporate field. So I know that in all the earlier lives, you have so many questions about it. So he's like the right person to ask it. And he's worked in mergers and acquisitions. He's worked in private equity. He has worked in banking and finance institutions. And he's also handled a lot of cases abroad for other countries. So he's going to be a go-to guy. And let's start. Yes, I already have a message saying we have a lot of questions, sir.
No worries.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Okay, perfect. So let's start with our first one. So the first question, of course, is that all these every law student has this crossroads in their life after college. Ki, should we go litigation में जाए या corporate field में जाए? So what prompted you to choose corporate, and what would you suggest to a person who's on that crossroads right now?
So I think because this is a candid chat, I will be extremely honest about it. I mean, and just to give you a little bit of background on, how I came into law. I mean, I was always into, drama, theater, etc. And I always wanted a profession that helps me, allows me to speak and, argue and debate. So I think that's what kind of motivated me into pursuing law as a profession. But I think coming into after you spend a couple of years at law school, you get some reasonable sense about what the subjects are. I mean, what kind of fields there are. I mean, I don't know about other national law schools, but our law university had certain specializations. Like you could do criminal law, you could do international laws, you could do corporate laws, for example. Uh, then I think the specialization started at about the fourth year or onwards around that, and that's where I think students get to kind of narrow down their field of preference in terms of whether they would want to do corporate law or litigation, or some people want to opt for judiciary, etc. So I think for me, again, because I'm being honest with you, the choice was easy because I had an educational loan, and the choice was very simple in terms of how much risk I am willing to take just out of law school. And I mean, coming from a middle class family, and I mean, most of the law students do. The risk appetite is unfortunately not that great. I mean, as much as you would like to be a litigating lawyer and kind of pursue the law, be in the bar,
Right.
the sad truth, unfortunately, is that just right out of law school, litigation does not kind of give you, enough in terms of monetary compensation.
Yeah, that's the
And on
fear
the other
actually.
hand,
That's the fear
yeah,
of most of the people. Yeah.
exactly. And I mean, and of course, I think in the times to come, and as in the past 6 7 years that I have been in the practice, I have been seeing that's changing, and I think the trend needs to kind of reverse a little bit because there have to be increased opportunities for young lawyers to, not only opportunities, I would say motivation for them to join the bar instead of just trying to go for corporate law firms. But unfortunately, when I was pursuing law, it was kind of like a black and white sort of decision for me. If I wanted a decent paying job, I needed to go for corporate law. So
Right.
that's my story. And having said that, I would definitely not advise anyone to make a decision on the basis of the kind of parameters I had to choose between. And I think the decision should be motivated by, I think, a couple of things. One should be obviously your ability and what lies ahead. And as I have been mentioning for a long time, I mean, a profession of law is like a marriage. I mean, you are a professional, so you are in this for the long haul. You don't pursue it for a couple of years and then venture out and do something else. I mean, if you want to argue before a court, I mean, the determination should be there, and if you like doing that, there's all the reason to do that and not pursue corporate law. So I think the two main factors should be, one, what your likeness is. If you like to do corporate law, you should do that.
Right.
If you don't, do not jump into it just because you want good money early on,
Yeah, and
because
I think
that's not the right
that's the
approach.
reason for most of the people that, as you mentioned,
Yes.
you can't run away from the fact that finances will matter. So eventually, most of the people who end up choosing this always say that there's no it's not like oranges and apples. It's very clear what you have to do.
But I think increasingly, Riddhi, I would say that there are now a lot of litigating law firms as
Right.
well, and some of them we know are pay equally well, if not better than some of the corporate law firms. So I mean,
Right.
as a student, I would keep an eye out for these opportunities. I would try and apply for internships, and maybe try and get a job at one of those firms. And I mean, from a litigating law firm, the migration to the bar is going to be slightly easier
Right.
than it would be if you're going from a corporate law firm, for example.
Absolutely. Okay, perfect. I think that would be very.
Hmm.
And thank you so much for your honesty. I think that was a very
Yeah,
honest
no worries.
answer. Okay, so then what? So as so now we're talking about the fact that you chose it because of this parameter. Let's go a little back. What actually made you choose law?
Mhm. Okay, again, because we started off with honesty, let me
Yeah.
continue it like that. So, growing up, and I just give you a little bit of background. My mother is a teacher, my father is a practicing lawyer,
Okay.
although of a very different kind. He represents banks and financial institutions on the lending side, and just doing the title search, etc. Those kind of works he had. But growing up, I never imagined myself becoming a lawyer. As I mentioned to you briefly, I liked theater a lot. I used to love dramatics. Actually, honestly, I wanted to go to National School of Drama and pursue that
Ah.
as a career option. My parents also wanted me to do that because I was actually very good at it. But then I think reality struck, and we kind of realized that, the National School of Drama does not have undergraduate courses, and B, there was a little bit of uncertainty even after graduating from there. And again, the permutations and combinations weigh against you. So drama was out of the equation. We were looking for other career opportunities, but then, I think it's one of those moments where the answer was always staring at you, but you couldn't look at it. And the answer was that the nearest thing that I could get to being a being in drama or theater would be a litigating lawyer. And I mean, I was watching one of the movies. I mean, we have always quote Damini, right? I mean, Sunny Deol says "Tariq pe Tariq," and you say, "Kya acting kar raha hai?" So I mean, and instantly the decision was there. I mean, yeah, the nearest
Absolutely.
thing to is to do a litigating lawyer's role.
Yeah.
And I mean that has got nothing to do with how my actual career played out, because I do none of that in my actual daily life.
Did you ever get a
But I
chance to
think
do that in court?
no, I didn't actually. We don't get too many
That would be
opportunities to go
so
to the
fun.
court.
Yeah.
I don't think a judge would appreciate that kind of theatrics in the court.
If I was a judge, I'd allow it, honestly. Yeah.
But
Okay.
I mean, yes, it did help. It did help to make the decision.
Yeah.
But yeah, the motivation really was that I wanted to do something which allows the analytical side of me to come out. I'm allowed to express myself freely, and I mean, again, a problem-solving approach, most importantly. And I mean, you're always faced with problems on a day-to-day basis, whether it's on the litigating side or whether you're doing mergers and acquisitions. You're always in that mode where you are kind of analyzing, interpreting, uh, and that's something that I always loved. And I think that's why I'm here today.
That's awesome. I think that is a great way to look at it. But you're still doing what you
I
love,
guess.
just a little bit of a tweak. Yeah.
Yeah, let's call it a little bit of a tweak.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about okay, now as you are from an NLU, but we have a lot of audience who's not actually from NLU. So even they, like, from I did my law school from Campus Law Center Law Faculty. So everyone has this curiosity of how to actually approach law firms. Do they even talk to you if you don't know someone in the law firm, or you don't have a contact? So what would be the right procedure to actually get to a firm that you like?
So, I mean, just to clear a little bit of, I think, the air here, although I am from a national law school, but I mean, we are looking back at 2008, 2009, when my law school was just about set up. And I think it was at par with any other non-national law university in terms of recognition and the world knowing you, if you will. Most of the law firms did not actually know that there existed a national law university in Patiala.
Yeah.
So I think I'm well placed to answer that question, simply because I did not have the privileges that some of the other higher ranked national law
The
schools
top
would.
three, yeah.
Yeah. So, see, it's an interesting question because I mean, when I was a student, I always used to wonder, what is it that makes a top-ranked National Law School student so much more important in the eyes of a law firm when compared to someone coming from a lower-ranked law school. Now, I am on the other side of the fence,
Ah,
and I'm looking at it from the vantage point of the law firm,
right.
and I'm seeing interns coming in on a daily basis. I mean, interning with us for 4 weeks or so. So I think just to kind of debunk the myth, there is no preference that law firms have for higher ranked national law schools because they think that those students are necessarily smarter than the others. That's not the case at all. I mean, the only problem in this situation is that there are lakhs of law students that graduate every year. There are, I would, to say the least, I think thousands of law schools in India. And as you would know, there's only a limited number of seats that a law firm can accommodate because we are not, we are not the kind of organizations which can handle, say, 50, 100 interns at one go. I mean, we have limited slots. I mean, the only thing is we draw a line somewhere, and the line has to be logically drawn. It has to be objective. And the most objective way of drawing a line is to kind of say, okay, top 5 national law schools is where we draw the line. And if you're from one of them, it's fine. If you're not, I mean, unfortunately, you'll not be accommodated in the peak months. But I can personally speak of my law firm. I mean, the partnership has been kind enough to accommodate non-national law school students as well. Of course, when it's kind of the off season for the National Law University students, with whom
Right.
we have also empanelments. But I think so the tip here to the law students would be to try and make it in the off season months where there's not generally that much crowd because there's not semester breaks going on for national law universities. And I think the other tip would be, which a lot of students, by the way, have been following, is to kind of be in touch with the professionals. I mean, I'm personally connected to, I think, 100, 200 plus law students right now, for example, on LinkedIn and through other social
Right.
media. And I mean, they keep writing to me off and on, kind of, asking me to review their CV. And in fact, I have pitched a couple of those CVs to our partnership, and they've been kind enough to give one of them the internships. So I think networking is very important, especially from someone who comes from a lower ranked law school and is
Right.
not handed an internship on a piece of cake.